Hi, this is Allison Sheridan, and welcome to another edition of Screencasts Online. Parallels Toolbox is a collection of small tools that each do one thing and do it well. The capabilities inside Parallels Toolbox can be replicated by individual tools from other companies and services or accomplished through terminal commands like defaults write. Now, the advantage of using Parallels Toolbox is that all of these tools are included in one interface. Parallels Toolbox is from the same people that make the virtual machine software called Parallels Desktop. But these are two completely unrelated sets of tools, and you do not need the virtual machine software to use Parallels Toolbox.